Hello and welcome to another modelling video. This is Alan from the Mokanaman YouTube with the final Q&A session video. Now, a lot of people, especially my legacy subscribers, will remember that this is a very old YouTube channel, and I used to do a monthly Q&A session where I put out a question, filled a bunch of questions, and would reply to them in video format. This was a very popular video format in early YouTube history and worked very well for this channel. Most people viewed videos on their computers or laptops and had access to a full keyboard and were more interactive in comments and whatnot. As the platform and the landscape of the internet has changed quite dramatically, platforms such as streaming and other means are far more appropriate for asking for questions and doing a to and for communication and interaction with a follower base. This format doesn't work as well anymore, mostly that people struggle to leave comments, or it's not as easy to interact with or enough substance to actually turn into a video. And as having fun is more important than anything, it's not really a legacy video. After its initial upload, my closest inner circle of regular and tightly knit viewers will enjoy it, and it's not going to develop views much later on, unlike tutorials and reviews, build videos, which continually get thrown around the algorithm and search part of YouTube forever. Another major change is your subscription feed and videos newly uploaded are not as promoted as much anymore, if not ever. And my channel purely survives off the search function of Google and the YouTube search bar when you're looking for a certain product, kit or whatnot. No one's looking for general vlogs, general talking or general Q&A. It was a hard decision to make, but I decided to send it off with a final hurrah and have a bit of fun with this. Landscape or trends were to change, it would be likely to return if appropriate. That all said and done, you guys are looking forward to seeing your handles on the screen and getting your questions answered. Let's get straight into it. First question comes from long-time friend of the channel, Tristan. New camera, going to miss the Q&As. Actually one of my favourite parts of your channel. I like this style of shooting, by the way. Taking heed in front of your kits. Tristan is an old friend of the channel and a good friend of mine. We've met for the earlier GBWCs in New South Wales in the earlier foundation of the Australian Gunpla community. He has his own YouTube channel and the leader of the Australian Mushing Krieger community. Please definitely check it out. I'm a big fan of his builds. He has an unorthodox way of kit bashing, scratch building, and attacks a lot of things in a unique and old-fashioned manner. He also is not a stranger to vintage builds and older subjects and concepts. Thank you very much. I'm glad that you've noticed that the method of shooting, editing, all of that has changed. With the change of the platform and whatnot, I've decided to put more quality rather than quantity, cut down on the time of the videos, focusing a bit on the editing, and I've changed my editing suite to Filmora, which is really easy to use, and I'm able to do all sorts of trendy and fantastic transitions and cuts and all sorts of things. Plus, finally moving into my own property and having the possibility of setting up a store, which is a fantastic backdrop for the videos and a private studio. I'm able to have quite a fun with backdrops and filming of the videos. So yeah, I'm absolutely privileged and do enjoy this space quite a bit, and I hope all of you guys really like it. Tristan is also a big supporter of my business and has bought some of my stuff. Next question is from K Scale Models, whose original channel title for older people around the early Gunpla YouTube community, Shoot Me. Question: have you tried 3D printing clear parts or making vac-formed clear parts for a model, such as a canopy or other parts that need to be clear? Interested to get someone's view on that that's not an aircraft modeler. Trust me, I'm anything but an aircraft modeler. Now, I would probably have a go at 3D printing for sure, and I'm looking at doing some mini helmets again. I've got a project either this year or next year, and I'm coming across a similar problem. From my research and talking to other resin 3D printers, doing the part as thin as possible will maintain quite a bit of transparency and not fog up quite a bit with the layer lines. Also, once pulled out of the vat, molesting the wet part as little as possible with drying, curing, chemical dipping, all that will just make it less and less transparent and crystal clear. I've seen everything from just rinsing it underwater to just naturally sun curing it to a minimal cure in a UV tank. Though from my experiment with the Mr. Modeling Paste, the wet clear brush-on resin, putting that on a nearly clouded massive goop of PVA glue, it made it absolute crystal clear. And I'm wondering if you just 3D print your clear part, and if it just happens to be a bit cloudy, step lines, a bit weird, I'll probably hit it with a bit of polish or a bit of sanding, sand it up to a fine polish, and then hit it with some resin, be it 2-part or a deep gloss clear, or even that weathering paste, and make it transparent again, which making a part that has become cloudy and restoring it back to a transparent state is something that's very possible, and once figured out, shouldn't be too hard. Once I enact this visor for a mini helmet project, and maybe even a visor for a full helmet on my Mono X, I will be conducting a series of tests with a bunch of clear parts and just trying to make them as clear as humanly possible. These results will be shared. On the other hand, with vac forming, you can just get really thin recyclable clear plastic. And I've actually seen people use everything from USB vacuums that you'd use to clear out your keyboard to full vacuum cleaners or aquarium pumps, anything in between, and adding them to an adapter of a box, drilling a heap of holes into it, making a die that would be a canopy or whatever clear part that you desire to vac form, and doing a mini vac form, which once you build the tool for, this would be ideal for manufacturing multiple of the same part without the cost of resin. It's practically clear plastic. It costs you nothing but time. My conclusion would be to try both and see what you enjoy, find most profitable, interesting, fun, easy, or whatever. Thank you very much for the question. Please check out K Scale Models' website. He does lots of cool products and sellables. If you love the Gundam universe and particularly ships from the Seed universe, he creates these as garage kits. A lot of them are also available for download and 3D printing. Also, have a look at his YouTube channel, where there is a lot of fantastic tutorials and content on 3D printing and drafting and cutting your own original designs, plus a community leader of the Gunpla 3D printing community and maintaining a fantastic database of all sorts of models and aftermarket parts that are available. He is an essential part of this new and fantastic growing community. The 3D printing Gundam community is just really interesting, much like the original growth and golden age of the garage kit community, where just all this awesome fan-made and semi-low to medium commercial grade stuff is just being put out and made available by people of multiple styles of talent and backgrounds. It's a rabbit hole that is most definitely worth checking out, and a ton of resources and links will be slapped down in the description section down below. The Danu Gaming, a regular friend and attendee of the salt mine meetings and friend of mine, went to remove a mistake I made with water acrylic over automotive lacquer black. Used 70% isopropyl alcohol and a paintbrush, and it appeared to have taken off some of the black to show some primer through. What should I have used instead, or could have diluted it to make it milder and closer to X20A? Stripping paint is a very tricky and delicate game, especially when done in layers. And to strip one layer over another can be a bit tricky, especially if you're not too familiar with chemicals, and then you start messing with various tools and whatnot. And the mistake I made here is isopropyl alcohol in its pure liquid form can seep into multiple layers of paint, and is known for stripping even down to lacquer base. And brushing it with a paintbrush would have caused streaks, moved it around, pushed it in panels, and created an undesirable texture. This is why your black paint has worn down to primer level, and this is just from brushing it on, reactivating the paint, which lacquer paint can reactivate when solvent is put into it, making it back into a liquid form. Now, there are a few methods of removing an acrylic and allowing a lacquer base to stay below, and that would be using a paint stripper or stripper agent that is not of a solvent base or nature. If you were to reach for something like bleach, Dettol, or the like, even if something as mild as vinegar, and soak it for the bare minimum amount of time to get to the soft acrylic, especially when recently applied, that should luckily strip off without affecting the underlayers. The disadvantage is if you do affect the underlayers, you just go whole hog and put it in the maximum amount of time in anything that's bleach, brake fluid, or Dettol, and go back to bare plastic and start from scratch. Normally, if you only want to remove one layer of paint, and this is very common with clear coat, if you get a nasty texture, bubbles, dealing with a raised decal, that sort of thing, a single coat would normally be removed through sanding and buffing with 1000, 2000, 5, 10,000 grit sandpaper and sanding sponge. It is a very tedious process, but probably the most delicate way of getting around it without causing too much damage or heartache. I know a lot of people like to strip paint and submerge their kits in isopropyl alcohol or brush it on. I feel that this leaches into styrene and can make it brittle or break. It's a preference I don't like and do not recommend to do, but it is a preference of some people, and I don't want to disrespect or stand on their parade of their way of enjoying and having success in the hobby. Different results for different hobbyists, I suppose. In the way of X20A, it pretty much is isopropic alcohol in a more milder form, lessen smell, lessen other things. The exact chemical breakdown, I'm not 100% sure. It is produced by a Japanese chemical company that's rebottled by Tamiya. Whatever it exactly is a bit of a mystery to me. GJ Carr, keep up the content, Mokanaman. Thank you very much. I most definitely will. This particular question, unrelated to Plamo, but are you of Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander background? I had a good laugh with this question, but at the same time, I don't really want to tread too heavily and offend. Anyone that lives in Australia and has filled out any document from school enrolment to registering for driver's license to starting a business to applying for a job or anything medical, in a document from the government, one question that always stands out at nauseum and that you would have to tick multiple times every year for your life is, are you of Australian or Torres Strait Islander descent or identity? And it almost feels like a bit of a troll and a laugh, but it also is a very controversial and conjective topic in this country, which I won't get into. The answer is no, though at the same time I wish to keep a little privacy in the field of my career path and the second thing, my ethnicity. I don't really want to bring too much negative attention towards myself or my family, but what I do want to talk about is that in my earlier childhood and attendance of school, we did have to learn about custom cultures, history of Indigenous Australia, most notably the Indigenous Aborigines of our local area and the central parts of the country. We had one gentleman attend our primary school who was an elder and an artist, and he taught us how to do almost tribal ancient style of dots paintings, utilizing a stick, whatever material they can source, and creating many different dots out of natural and rustic colors from a bird eye perspective to show landmass, movement of people and historical events or depiction of fanciful or legends or lore, which is very fascinating in itself. Now, if you do a little digging around online, YouTube and Google, it's known as ochre painting, and this is where they get natural pigments and ingredients, everything from sands and dust or sun-dried material, everything from dead leaves, flowers, plants, branches, and it would be ground down to a really fine powder and collected in vessels or containers to make a whole range and host of colours. This would be bound in a little water and tree sap or honey to a very thick, gooey consistency, so a resin binder. A stick is crafted, it's dabbed and then dabbed on a material that's anything from paper parchment to the bark of a tree or even baked ceramics and other surfaces, hollow tree trunks. A whole list of canvases including their own bodies. And as a joke that stuck to my head to make the whole class laugh because we're very immature kids, he would say that to produce a white pigment, they would come across a kangaroo turd that's probably been sitting out there for months to years and has turned into a white powdery substance, bind it in honey, and bang, you have a white ash colour, which, if that is what they've traditionally did or not, I have absolutely no idea, but we had a laugh. It stuck to me in a crass manner, but as the years passed on and the memory of sourcing your own materials and fabricating your own paint, instead of this argument of what paint brand is superior or getting a paint to work for your ideal use, people everywhere from Africa to South America and whatnot would create their own ceramics, their own sculptures, their own all sorts of things with the sheer material of the earth as ancient man and people did prior. And this was just simply experimenting, trying, failing, and doing it again. And in this activity with this Indigenous elder, he took us into our own playground, which was quite large and vast, had sports field, sand pits, all sorts of different areas of wetlands and dried out worn areas to grass fields. And we would collect our own material from tree leaves to dirt to sand to whatnot, blended it in a bit of honey and sort of dabbed it on a piece of paper. And that just really stuck to me for some reason. And it's always fascinated me in blending, mixing, thinning, thickening paint. And I definitely have a fascination in purchasing natural and acrylic pigment and being closer to be mixing and blending my own paints rather than buying a hobby store grade paints, getting a color wheel and expanding a color range to substantially save a lot of money, but also make more vibrant and colors that are personal to me and how I conduct myself in the hobby, rather than what is being sold and forced upon me by hobby manufacturers. Another way I saw this more simplistic version is people blending this in modeling paste or PVA glue, but I can't see why it can't be mixed in the dreaded floor polish or future floor and airbrushed, because it's done with natural metallics and acrylic pigment. I can't see why pigment can't be bought off the internet and blended into a clear, or even going as far as collecting natural ingredients and blending it in a binder of a floor polish, a clear lacquer, a clear acrylic, anything like that. It is experiments I will do in the future. It's something that I've always intended to. It's always something I've wanted to talk about. It is a massive inspiration that I've learnt from this elder, and I think it's just a little interesting tribute to show that even the natural history of this country and its people has inspired me in some really small but profound manner of people making their own paint. And to this day, in the modern era, we still make our own paint. Chemicals and pigments and processes can change, but it's still the same concept of a vehicle, a binder, and a pigment. And over the thousands to tens of thousands of years, that is never going to change. And I can't see why I can't do it myself when people figured out how to do it themselves, pass it down as an oral tradition, and then teach school kids to do it. Anywho, it's really, really cool, and it's very, very worthwhile looking into. And I know that this is a crazy tangent to go on to for a bit of a random question, which has become Plamo related now. There you go. Fuck no. Man, hey, our names almost match. Haha. Yeah, we're kind of starting to reach the bottom of what we're able to interact with. Leadfoot666 has requested a shout out. Here are some of my fabricating ideas, but I'm always looking for more. Curtis Lowe, a fairly small, obscure YouTube channel, though I could see that there's a lot of thought and fantastic guerrilla-style videos of entire chassis and cars being built and design. If you are a car modeler and interested in full scratch building, fabricating, mixing with materials and design, this would probably be a channel that would be very interesting to you. It's some of the finer aspects of the hobby. Very, very cool. And finally, old friend of the channel and in the hobby, Cam, is running another year of the OMC, or the Original Mech Contest 2023, where scratch building, a little kit bashing, a little 3D printing is encouraged. He has a whole host of celebrity judges. There's a lot of big name in industry, hobbies, and many crafts and fabrication fields that get involved across many different styles, from Warhammer, Mushroom Krieger, Gundam, and just free range scratch building. There's a lot of very high tier and fascinating work. It's just a rabbit hole to get in and find some absolute great talents to follow, and high tier finishes and models. Cam himself is a professional modeler and is very well known for his high-end paint jobs and doing ridiculously big builds. And a lot of the orbiters and people in his circle and entering these competitions, as you can see with this banner art, is absolutely fantastic and worth checking in. If you have a bit of an inclination of scratch building and throwing parts together and doing your own designs and builds, I would always, even if you don't feel that you're not up to the caliber of this work, he's very nurturing, very supporting, and he's got a fantastic community around him. Definitely throw your hat in there, as there are supporting awards and whatnot. I do remember with his competitions, he's just got a way of attracting all of these indie companies and people who manufacture their own paints or kits or aftermarket parts and whatnot, and they're very generous in past with their prizes. So it's a pretty cool thing to check out, and a very worthwhile cause in encouraging people to sort of step away from just prefabricated stuff or snap nonsense and doing your own design or more crazy, interesting and creative endeavors. I think this concludes this video. Thank you very much for watching. All of the various things I've talked about, references, videos, source, social medias, are all down below in the description section and titled. I hope you've enjoyed seeing your handle, picture, websites or whatnot displayed in this video, and that it was a enjoyable and fascinating, if not random and unusual watch. We've covered some probably not so helpful but interesting and wide variety of insight and interesting aspects. Now, again, I am most likely not going to touch on Q&A sessions in its current form again. What I would consider in the future is live streaming and doing that. I've experimented that in the past from around 2015, 2017 with great success. And once I modify my setup to have cameras to do it easier and whatnot and have more time, it's something I may flirt with again in the future. Regardless, if you ever have questions or need assistance, as I do get, have hit it my comment section, and I always answer any comment that's phrased in a way of a question, especially if it's themed to the video of whatever I'm demonstrating, reviewing or showcasing. If you want a bit of privacy, private messages do work on my other platforms. I'm fairly active, even if it does take a 24, 48 hour process due to living a full-time working life and side business. Also, if you really enjoyed the Q&A session and just enjoy listening to me talk for an endless amount of time, have a look at the Q&A playlist where there's about 50 videos ranging anywhere between 20 to 40-50 minutes in length of each. You've got a few days straight of rambling research and evidence of a whole host of questions, some of them even repeating, and you might even see my opinion change over the years that the video has been made. And in the miscellaneous playlist, I've done a series of very long-winded videos when that was popular of the time, covering very lengthy discussions on rule sets for competitions when I used to be more competitive in the arm of the hobby, and other controversial topics from the economics and ethics of bootlegging to the process of injection molding, and the entire verbal breakdown of building, finishing, and painting a kit, not using my resources. You may or may not find that fascinating. Anywho, thank you very much for watching, and as always, until next time, stay tuned for further content. Regardless of the changing trends and times, whatever the core value of this channel of tutorials and build videos, I will continue to do so. The videos will be a little shorter in length, more quality, more information put in. I'll continue the shorts, and I will most definitely continue the painting tutorials and reviews of products. Catch you guys next time, and stay tuned for more hobby content. See you later.